Welcome to the Alchemy of Ascension Season 3. We are harmonizing light and shadow to embody our mystical power and purpose. I'm Washayla Sananda, and today I have an incredible guest, Yukia Sandara. Welcome, Yukia.
Thank you. It's really great to be here and connect deeply with all of you.
Yeah, I'm so happy to share you with the Alchemy of Ascension audience, and I know that this will really be moving for so many people. So before we jump in, I will read some from your bio so that everyone can get familiar with a little bit about who you are and what you've been doing. Yukia woke up at the early age of 6 years old. She has dedicated the past 16 years to experiencing and expressing passionately her intergalactic starseed trajectory by traveling the world as a walk-in soul, a guardian gatekeeper, way shower, a transformation light language activator and decoder, a high consciousness change agent, a facilitator of events, and an intergalactic mentor. Yukia has developed New Earth empowerment, sound and light encoded tools, programs, and intergalactic mentoring for starseeds. Yukia feels deeply that in this era of love, completion is within reach for everyone who is willing to step into the I am sovereign, authentic, loving, and peaceful authority and return home to a divine status fully embodied in the physical reality and life on this planet as an intergalactic human being. Ooh, I love that. There's a lot of power.
Sounds like a mouthful.
Yeah, but it's very deep. So we will get into some of these concepts as we move along here. For starters, though, I would love to hear about your origin story. You mentioned you woke up at age 6. Can you tell us what happened and how have you unfolded into this knowingness that you have?
Well, at age 6, I had a visitation, so from an ascended being. At the time, of course, I didn't know it was an ascended being. I thought it was just maybe an angel, and or a ghost, at that time. But it was very visible to me. He appeared in the threshold of the door, which I shared a room with my sister. And he was on the door calling me to come to him. And he had a long robe with a big talisman, with a star, with a 12-pointed star. Mm-hmm. And he was smiling. He had a beer, and he had such beautiful features. He was dressed like an Arab, very Moorish-like, and electricity in the sheets coming out and really pulling me towards him, which I did. And as I walked as a little girl towards him, the next thing I remember basically is, waking up in my mother's arms and having no breath, So I walked through. I remember he said he had a gift to give me, and that was all I remembered. And I was placed I had to be taken by ambulance to the clinic, and I was on an oxygen mask for 3 days. And during those 3 days, that's the whole team, my team basically, that's been working with me for a long, long time, came in. I mean, he was one of the guiding forces at the time.
Your galactic team, just to be clear, right?
My galactic team, yes, my galactic team. And he was an ascended master. His name was Serapis Bey. I didn't know at the time. I didn't get the name. I didn't understand it. I know the name was sounded, but I couldn't get it as a little girl because I was in shock also with the whole thing. But during those 3 days, there was a lot of coding taking place. There was a lot of DNA awakening, and activations taking place. Now I understand what took place. Of course, during that time, I just was aware of all these silhouettes and all these golden, they all looked golden to me. And so when I eventually came to my senses, which was after 3 days, I could breathe again. My mother took me aside and said, what exactly happened? And then I explained to her, and she said, well, just stop. You come from a family of mediums, through generations. My family is Jewish on my mother's side, and it's not because they're Jewish, but it's ancient lineage of mediums, and we've had very bad experiences. Some of your aunts and your great-grandfather went to an asylum. So I really suggest, I believe you had that experience, but I suggest that you just put a cap on it and just forget about it and do not discuss it with anyone, and certainly not with your father. So my father did not believe in any religion, but he believed in a higher force, so that was my bang awakening, and from that moment onwards, my abilities to read other people, I became an impact, but with a very deep gift of actually being able to read what my mother was thinking, what my father was thinking, what the teachers were thinking. Also being able to say to myself, this does not resonate. This is not the history that I know. In history lessons, I came across quite a lot of, especially in history and religion. I was kicked out of all religions lessons because I was questioning too much and I was making too much noise. So I was not allowed to be in any Bible studies, any religious lessons. And this is how I grew up. And I knew I was odd, I was different, and I just accepted that. But I did not discuss with anyone, not even with my sister. I tried, and she said, you live in your imaginary state. This is all in imagination. I was sharing the same room. I didn't see anything. And then I knew exactly where she stood, at that stage. And I continued to have my dream walking with this being, with which then much later, only when I was 24, I got to know that it was Serapis Bay, and eventually changed to Saint Germain later on. In 2 years' time, I had a change of guides. But during that time, I traveled during the night. So it didn't stop. I was a kid, I was a normal human being during the day, but during the night, I did my dream walking. I attended my meetings. I was in another world, and I came back, but I kept the energy to myself to such an extent that the body became, because you're contracting the energy that you have been gifted to share with the world. You're contracting. So the body gets out of balance and gets healed. So, and I got healed, with it, So I had, cancer of the small intestine, and then I got Crohn's disease afterwards, after 4 years, and every stage of the illnesses, these were the only 2 illnesses. I healed myself. So the guidance was always, don't go anywhere, be guided to someone that will help you. And I was guided on the first time, someone that could help me, doing regression therapy. And at that stage, it was a long time ago, it was still on the, I was only 24 at that time, by the time that I received that therapy, and this guide, let's put it this way, what manifested in the physical, but then it disappeared. So when I referred other, my family to this guide, the woman did not exist. She had never occupied that house, so it was a lot of miracle work that happened as a result of that. But the trade-off for my life, was that I would have to start doing what I was supposed to do, which was to share my healing capabilities, to open myself to the gifts that I was embodying, or I was integrating, or I was about to receive, in a higher version of myself. And that took place in 2002. I had a walk-in, so my Pleiadian soul, because galactic soul, received a Venusian soul, in the body, and they coexisted for about in the same vessel, doing the transition between the souls for about 6 years, so 6-7 years. So only in 2009, I was fully embodied with the new frequency, with the walk-in, and that's when the Pleiadian soul then vacated the body, but of course the imprint is there. I'm very Pleiadian today still, has been the recipient of that imprint.
Okay, let me stop you there for a minute, because this is something that I find really fascinating, is the whole realm of walk-ins. I've known many, and the different ways that they can show up and integrate. So what I'm hearing you say is you had a Pleiadian soul come in to your body, embody with you, and there was a braid of your own consciousness with this Pleiadian soul for 6 years. And then the Pleiadian went on and...
No, not for 6 years. When I was born, the Pleiadian soul was already installed, but the activation was only done when I was 6 years old. That's why we had that 3-day period of activation. So I lived with a Pleiadian braid. There was the braided in part was only an earthbound part. It was a 90%, 96% actually, to be exact, Pleiadian, and just 4% earthbound soul at that stage. But in 2002, it started with the illnesses, with the preparation for the changeover, actually, It started in 1999, but mainly 2000, but it only took place in 2002 when the other soul, another braided in soul, Venusian higher frequency, came in and inhabited the vessel with the Pleiadian soul for 6 years. So I had two imprints inside, two hybrid imprints inside the vessel. All right, which it was quite a smooth sailing, because it was a very organic transition that took place. And the reason that it was an organic transition is that I had to do my inner work. So the inner work was about to, because I came in for the first time as a Pleiadian dolphin. First time. Never been in this earth, in a body. I had been in the earth, in the collective consciousness of Gaia, but never in the body. So my agreement was to come and learn how to live in duality, how to live in polarity, how to find a way to the heart, how to live this love and this emotional thing that humans do, and I had not done that up to that stage, so all those years were pretty, I come from a family that was not divided, it was not broken, my parents were in love, with each other, we used to welcome all the broken kids, into our family, because, so I had not experienced what I had come to experience, which was the extreme polarity, the extreme duality. All right. So that was one of the reasons of the changeover also, is so that I could then experience duality and polarity in a different way and actually, make that choice, because that was my learning, you know. And the Venusian aspect of myself in I aversion had only been once on Earth. So was also a newbie. Yeah. You know? So had the same function. Learn how does this work here? You know, how does love work here? How does emotion work here? You know? And I had not done that, you know. I had not chosen experiences that had led me to that, you know. So the agreement, basically, as the walk-in installed itself and I started to understand through communication, constant communication, you know, what I was supposed to do afterwards was to actually choose experiences of duality, choose expressions of polarity, of extreme polarity, choose relationships that would reflect that, which I had not done up to that point.
Wow.
Not even the drugs and the you know, the sexual experience. I had not done any of that because I was just not moved to do any of that.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Then,
so that must have been really interesting for you to have that.
I was like, you know, I was retaining the purity of that imprint, but I was not of the dolphin energy that was just recording history, you know, and recording wisdom and sharing and reading that. But I was not actually experiencing the human form as I had been guided to. So it was a big change. And I'm looking back, I'm very grateful that I had the 6 years because those 6-7 years took me to different parts of the world. That's when I started traveling to different countries with my backpack and, you know, spending 3 months and 6 months and 7 months learning about the culture, but also learning about what the hell is going on with myself and choosing these very polarized experiences and these very polarized people to be with, you know, so that I could experience that, you know. So it was very, very interesting, where you had to create yourself experiences of duality in relationships. You had to choose partners that were really in the shadow, you know, in the depth of the shadow, or in a depth of an addiction to engage with, so that your own shadow part as a human could come out. So you could clear your collective consciousness, because it's not that I had been in this planet for many lives. So I could only clear the collective consciousness of Atlantis when I existed in the earth as a collective consciousness. When I existed in Egypt, I existed in body. So I had quite a polarized existence in Egypt. So I could clear that, you know. Mm-hmm. And of course, when you choose polarized experiences, they mirror. You get mirrors, you know, and projections, and the way you react, you know, is, you know, I found myself in rage. I found myself in anger, which was like totally the antithesis of what I was with my Pleiadian soul. You know, I would never get into anger, I was very clinical, really an alien, you know, and I found myself being completely inside the emotion, completely inside the anger, and reacting, you know, in ways that were really, wow, polarized. So I did my shadow walk in different countries, you know, by choosing people that I needed to be with, by experiences, and while at the same time doing my sacred site work, which was a paradox. So I was doing both things. I was doing the shadow work on myself, if it arose. Not in every country it arose, you know, many didn't. And at the same time, I was also doing the sacred site work, which was working with the ley lines and preserving the old gateways and the old grid work, you know, from manipulation, from control, you know, opening doorways where they were closed when they were ready, you know. So this, it was a paradox. And this went on for 15 years in
Wow.
different
So
countries.
in that, what you shared right there, that is a complete description or demonstration of, you know, harmonizing your light
Yes,
and shadow to embody your mystical power and purpose. That's
yes.
the
And
tagline of the show, because you're doing and experiencing duality. And what a great way to share with people that are, you know, a lot of people will say, why do these horrible things keep happening? Or why do I keep attracting, you know, a certain type of partner that's, you know, maybe your soul wants to have the experience of duality. And like you express, sometimes that's an experience that you've chosen to have, and it will assist you in clearing, as you said, in clearing that shadow work so that you can embody your true mission, your purpose.
that's exactly what took place, because I had 2 marriages up to 2009, basically, which was the transition of the soul, you know, from the one soul to the other, that were pretty smooth. You know, yes, there was some, you know, darkness in those beings, but really not that much. No, there was no major responses or reactions. And I was very clinical as a soul. So even if there was, I would witness and observe it and not really go into it and then dissolve it. I knew exactly as a Pleiadian how to work with it, you know. And it was when the divorce was called in for the second marriage, you know, and then I started walking the world. I knew that the next relationship was going to be convoluted. And I fell in love, because I wasn't really in love in the first 2, you know, but I fell deeply in love. And then the emotion came in, because I used to think with my clients at the time, I was already doing a lot of sessions at the time, you know, what is this big thing about the broken heart? Okay, you finish in a relationship, you close one door and then you open another.
Yeah.
Because my experience was that.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started really loving, feeling the love, feeling the emotion, getting really involved in the drama, you know, letting the mind build up all these things, you know, living through the, dimming my light, because I had to dim my light in order to please these partners that I chose to experience polarity and duality. So it wasn't about betrayal, but it was about me becoming less than what I am, to be accepted, to be seen, to be loved by them. Mm. And it was like, and to be in the background and let them shine, you know, which was like, wow, quite, and for a natural leader, you know, it was like something out of this world. So all the shadow came up, you know, and saying, well, I'm a natural leader, you know, I'm not going to do this, you know. It was a massive learning, and then to harmonize, like you said, at the same time, okay, I'm in this country, I'm in Peru, I've got 4 sites that I need to do planetary work, open stargates, close stargates, preserve portals, you know. So I would then switch from one energy into another energy, you know, and then bring balance. Yeah. Bring balance and integrate. Bring balance and integrate. That was all my guides would always say. You are rebalancing. You are returning to harmony and resonance within the heart. Remember, the heart speaks no matter how distracted you are and how in distortion you are with your emotional field. Because for me, that was like an experience, you know, because I'd never had an emotional field. And then to have an emotional shift was a shock. You know, for me to come to terms with that, it took me 3 years to come to terms to how do I do this balancing thing. And if it wasn't for the planetary soul work that I had to do as my mission with my star family, because I came here to do a whole lot of rebalancing in the planet and collapsing of many things and clearing and cleansing. If it wasn't for that work, I don't know how I would have rebalanced, because this duality business, like I called it, and polarity was very alien to me. It was a shock to my system, you know.
Oh, I imagine. It's like, I'm getting images of going on a roller coaster or watching a horror movie where people
Yes.
are taken through these short periods of intense emotion or intense disruption, sort of.
Yes, I mean, I remember the first time that I was witnessing my boyfriend, the first one, because there were two that I really fell in love with. And they were twin flames, but they were not the twin companion. It was made it very clear that it wasn't. But he was bang shoot in the middle of a shadow release process. And I remember him exploding the one day, and me sort of watching as if I'm not understanding, but I want to understand, but I am in shock, because it becomes narcissistic, because then the energy points to you. It's because of you shining so, you shining such great light that everyone concentrates on you, and I am not seen. So the tables would turn, and me thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? I love him so much. I have to dim my light, and because I didn't know how to handle it. It was a shock.
Yeah.
What do I do? What do I do here? I'm feeling all this emotion, all this love, of course, false love, but at the time it seemed to be true love, and I want to be seen. I want to be loved by this person. This is the first time I'm feeling emotion, and so I'm going to dim my light. I'm not going to be as gifted as I am, And this took like 2 runs of relationships, basically, over a period of 6 years, like that. And then that was the completion. Then I had done the curve of the shadow walk curve, should we call?
Yeah.
But the recipe of which I say the recipe of success in all this for my soul evolution and the collective, because if every soul that goes through this, we're not doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for ourselves, but we're also doing it for the collective. Was that at the same time, I had to do the sacred work with the earth. And that helped me. It fed me the light. It fed me the lightness. It gave me the wisdom to be able to use tools to balance, and not to be like segmented all over the show, all the time. Yeah. And then it helped in the end with the integration, because when I completed that shadow walk, I knew from now on, I'm not choosing anymore. I don't have to choose anymore these type of relationships, because now I know what it's like. You
were able to build compassion and
I was able to build compassion.
Yeah. So you could understand then when your clients would come and say, I'm experiencing this thing.
Yeah, because I was empathic, but not very compassionate, because I couldn't understand it. So that gave me an in-depth understanding of, and then of course all the clients that came afterwards were all those that had problems with relationships, because then you needed to apply it, you needed to apply it, the universe works in wonderful ways, so and then the embodiment of that balance set in, then it was, okay, you now know what's going on here, you are embodying, you are in your integration and embodiment to anchor and descend into the physical structure, your ascended aspects. And that changed everything, because it's easy to now to return to neutrality very quickly, very, very quickly, But in saying this, and I say to everyone, no matter how advanced and how embodied you are, there are situations that you still go out, that you still play the 3D stuff, But you are able to return it very quickly. You are able to neutralize and return it very quickly to an ascended state in the physical body.
Let me dig into that a little bit. So you mentioned, being in a relationship and trying to figure out how to harmonize, how to balance yourself, how to integrate that ascended part of self, and not even just in a relationship, but in the world, all kinds of things going on. How do you advise people now to be, when someone comes to you with a problem, whether it's relationship or something else going on in the world or something they're deeply upset and emotional about, what is a process or a way that you can advise them to get back to that balance?
Yeah, first thing I always say, breathe, because that helped me a lot, because it's all about the sound and the breath, just take a deep breath, and exhale, or exhale first and inhale afterwards. Do what I call the fire breath, and then do a normal breath when you're inhaling and exhaling through your heart, and you're feeling the golden, you're being bathed by this golden pink rose of the Sakina energy. It's a very feminine, peaceful energy that's coming in. And you are seeing your silver cord, because we all have a silver cord anchored on the earth, grounded. Because 9 out of 10, what I find is that you are suspended, but you're not grounded on the earth, So make sure that you have your anchor on the emerald earth, and you bring that emerald light into it. All right. And the next thing that I always recommend is witness and observe. Okay, so instead of notice that you are inside the story, inside the drama. Notice. So I am noticing that I am inside this story and this drama. Okay. I am noticing that my mind is playing this game, So I am witnessing and observing what I am noticing. All right. And I am dissolving what I am noticing. And within this golden light, or this peaceful light with my heart, because I am coherent, because I love myself, because I am here in this present moment, and I'm nowhere else. I am not in the past, and I'm not in the future. So I am in this moment, noticing that I am here, and I'm not nowhere else. And I also advise people to activate the sound. Being a sound healer myself, I find sound is the quickest way for you to get to a still point. It's the breath and then the sound, or vice versa, the sound and the breath. So you activate 3 sounds, in sequence. So you do it 3 times. So for example, you would do and your throat is in resonance, but so is your heart. So there is a communication, visualizing a communication between your heart and your throat, because they actually are uniting like in a pyramid. So they are uniting at the point of stillness. When they hit that point of the apex of the pyramid, you are in that silence. And then you take a deep breath and you exhale through your heart. And I'm accepting it. I am loving it. I am loving this experience. And I'm ready to return to balance. I am in my presence. I am. So this process is very quick. You can do this very, 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 very quick. The minute you start breathing, you already go into stillness. But when you do the sound, you are amplifying. And I always say do an elongated sound, because you can do this. And I had a client that said, does it matter? I can do ma, ma, ma. I said, yes, you can do that. But you are creating a resonant chamber. That's the objective. The objective is create a resonance chamber, not only inside your heart, because you create it inside your heart to explode around your magnetic field, your morphogenic field. So if you're creating a resonance, elongate the sound. So let's get back to ma. Ma, 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 ma. You're elongating the sound. So you are and do it 3 times. I always work with the energy of 3. It's 3 infinity, 3 unity, you know, and that really anchors then that. And then feeling the anchoring of that in the earth, because you are here. You are here. I am here. And sometimes it helps to affirm, I am here. Mm-hmm. I am here, and I love to be here. I love Mother Earth. I am the one with the earth, you know, because I find that a lot of star beings, you know, that are you know, a lot of the hybrids, because there's so many, you know, most of us are hybrids. They want to ascend, so they're not anchored, mm-hmm. you know.
Yeah.
The first, when they awake, they just want to get out of body. They don't want to get in body.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm saying, without getting in body, you can't get out of a body and have a permanent connection. You can have up and downs, but you can't have a permanent connection.
Right. That's the embodiment. And that is
the embodiment.
Such a key to ascension. If you hold those frequencies and expand your ability to hold the higher frequencies and embody the light we are, versus, you know, trying to get out all the time. It's a completely different experience of life.
It is
embodied in this form.
Yeah, I find it's completely, so there is always a sound to bring you back into, so you can do the sound, you can do a sound, usually 9 out of 10, I find 9 out of 10, there is no communication between the heart and the throat, which is the amplification of your essence. What are you feeling in your heart? If you can't voice through the voice of your authentic truth, then you are contracted. You are contracted. You know, your energy is not in flow. Okay, so open your heart with mass. Mass sounds are it's a very, you know, it's a very Arcturian practice. This one, you know, it's opening the energy with the ma, which is the divine Sakina energy, opening the chambers of the heart, which are closed. Let's say people that have trauma during you know, growing up years, you know, with families that are broken, and, you know, or even inherited genetic lineage and bloodline trauma that is then repeated in patterns. All right. So usually the first port of call is open that heart, you know, even if it's mostly open, there's always a tiny place that is not open. So do the 3 mass, it helps you 3 times, 3 mass, okay? Then do the ohms for the throat, because the throat, it's a masculine energy that you need. So the ohm is a masculine energy of action. It's saying, it's sending the signal that it's time to release all the residues that are trapping the energy of truth of your essence. It is a signal that says, I am ready now to collapse and erase and uncreate all the energy of unworthiness, of undeservability, of lack of self-love, of lack of acceptance, you know, and the voice of my truth, compromising the soul, my soul compromised, to be accepted, to be seen, to be loved, to be, adored in this planet. So let's clear that. And it's with the because it's an action word. It's an energy of which is a divine, a masculine energy, but it has the potency to actually move the energy out, because it's action. We're always working with word, emotion, and action. These are the three. And then you complete. So you do 3 arms elongated 3 times. Then you bring in the energy, one sound that brings you the unification of that pyramid that I say, okay, let's make the pyramid, which takes you to the gateway of unity. Because really, we are no longer comprised of all these energetic centers, the 7 chakras and the 12 chakras and the 14 chakras. No, we have one gateway, and it's the gateway to unity, it's the gateway to the sun within ourselves. So you make the pyramid from the higher heart to the throat. You make that pyramid, and so you make one sound, and it has to be your own sound. Mm. So it could be, that's the elongated version, 3 times. So you're uniting, and when you're reaching that apex of that pyramid, you're opening the sun. You're opening a portal, which is your own portal, to interact from within the heart outside. You're exploding that energy outside. Beautiful. And then when you do that, you're bringing in that stillness, the silence, that sovereignty, that truth, which is uncompromised. So that's and then there's one more leg to this, which is, okay, now it's all open. Now we have to ground it. So we have to descend the energy into the physical structure, So visualize that you have a mantle of golden light, because you've opened that golden gateway. For me, it's gold. For other people, might be other colors, rainbow, whatever. For me, it's gold. It's a golden sun. And I bring in the mantle, my golden mantle, into the earth, into the emerald earth. And I anchor that in the core of the earth, because I'm grounding the energy. I am rooting and earthing the energy into embodiment. And I'm saying, I'm here and I want to be here. I love to be here on earth as an ascended being with all my versions. And that's the leg that's always missing, because in the beginning, you just want to be out, and collect all your higher versions. All your higher versions.
And that's really about escaping versus coming
yes, in. And you can have a mantra, for example, for that, which is, I find it very effective to do mantras also. So as a practice, so you can descend the energy with a mantra. You can use a Star Nations mantra, like Arcturian mantra or Venusian mantra or a Pleiadian mantra. But if you do not speak any of these languages and you're not yet tuned, then you can use a Tibetan mantra. I find the Tibetan energy really, some of the mantras are incredible. There's a mantra that assists you to collect all the soul fragments of yourself. Because in our walk on earth, from the time we incarnate to adulthood, to maturity as a soul, we fragment a lot, because we give our power away, we allow ourselves to be drained, and then we return to balance. But so this is like a mantra to retrieve all the parts of yourself, all the fragment of yourselves, and bring it into coherence into your field everything. So all your power that you've given away, we are returning. All the love that you have drained yourself and given permission to be drained, you are collecting that. So it's like they have a beautiful practice, in the visualization is also beautiful for me, in my perspective, is that they send the goddess, to go and collect with a chalice. And she's got a golden chalice, and she goes and collects in the inner world all the fragments of you that pertain to your heart, for example. How much of your heart have you given? How much of your power have you given away? And she goes, and how much of spaciousness have you given away as a result? So she goes and she retrieves all the fragments, and then she brings it back, and she inverts that chalice, and the chalice of golden light, comes into, and each part. So the heart's got a color, the green color, your liver, for example, is got a red color. So every part, every gland, the liver, which is the seat of passion. How much of your passion have you lost? Let's retrieve it. So she goes and collects all the fragmentation, and it helps to heal the organs also at the same time, and the glands. How much of your kidneys, of your drainage, of your cleansing and clearing have you not yet completed? Have you given away? It's stagnated somewhere, either in timelines, in past lives, or in parallel realities, or in other dimensions. Let's go and collect, and let's pour it in through the chalice. And she goes on a journey, and she does all that. And this mantra encapsulates all that. And it's a very short mantra. It says, Ayam Ram Makam Dramdu. That's all. But you say the mantra. So with the mala beads, so I suggest you buy a mala beads, and you say the mantra 108 times. And it's times 8. So times 8 times a day, 108 times, because you have to go through 108 seeds. And it's recommended that you, if you're doing a really soul retrieval, where you really embodying, you want to, all lost parts you want to collect of yourself, and you want to reboot yourself again. You do it for a period of 10 days. So that means you would do the practice every single day. You can break it, 4 in the morning, 4 at night, because you go through the mantra, you go through the seeds. When you're doing that, you can't be thinking about anything, because you have to concentrate on the counting,
Right.
So your neural pathways, what it does is that your neural pathways, so your left hemisphere, your right hemisphere, become empty. So you are emptying out the programs, the belief structures, the conditioning, the old templates, the inverted matrix. Everything is emptied out. At the end of those 10 days, you are empty, but yet you are full, because you now have all those parts of yourself that serve you within yourself, and you are whole again. It's very, very effective. So this mantra, for example, is a long process. There are Tibetan mantras, that is just for protection, for example, and there is a mantra, there's an Arcturian mantra that is very effective I call it the SOS mantra. So if you are in a situation where you're walking into a space and you feeling that the energy is tainted, you can see there is a balance between dark, there is no harmony between dark and light in this space. In fact, the energy is so dense that you feel difficult to be inside the space. You say the mantra, okay? You also use this mantra for protection. So every morning before you leave your house, you just say the mantra 9 times. And this one is, you say it 9 times. It's very well known, other Arcturian vessels, like I sit at the Arcturian Council for a long, long time, so being a hybrid of Pleiadian, I have the Arcturian higher version. So in my higher ascended self, I am doing work in the Arcturus for a long, long time. So the mantra is also simple. Alium, 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 Ya Marcin, Ya Krashne, Al Malkior, Orionis. And you say it with assertion 9 times. And you leave the house, you're welcome today in the morning, and you can do a small prayer even to say that, may I be the best version of myself today in service, with love and joy in my heart.
We are at the end of our time together, Yukia. It has been such an amazing experience just sharing with you, hearing your story and being in your energy. You're a really beautiful being and you have so much to share. I feel like we barely scratched the surface. So I'm sure there'll be more to come in the future. I'd love to.
Yes, I just want to close with a little bit of an activation just
Sure.
to balance the energy and also so that you can experience, the light language and the sound, so this particular one is to balance the feminine and the masculine energies, to rebalance into synchrony, so into balance, to bring balance and a fusion, a union of these two energies. And it's not only for ourselves, but it's also for the world, so that we can emerge, as birthing the new dawn, the new earth that we are birthing. So it won't be too long. Let's see. Lai hula lai waranul lai wala lawi lara Samnoshtiku Hashem Kalayanaka Harman Aleyu Hirma Halali Rudma Kaikin Ho Hud Ha Husht Hirmanatu Kilalai Harman Hi Haridu Hashem Karalali Hasu Asasai Aka. So it is.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Yeah, pleasure, love.
All right, that's a beautiful note to end on. I'm just going to end it there. Thank you so much for sharing everything you shared, Yukia. Have a beautiful day, rest of your day, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. And bless you all. Namaste.
Bless everyone. Ciao, ciao. Bye.